Let's look at the root system. We have symbiotic nitrogen fixation. We have a bacterium that is called rhizobia. That is a general term for the type of bacteria. Rhizo meaning root. These bacteria enter into a symbiotic relationship with the legume. Symbiotic because they are mutual in what they do. They each benefit the other. The bacterium takes nitrogen out of the air and converts it into organic nitrogen that the plant gets. In return, the plant gives the rhizobium carbohydrates for energy. We have the formation of nodules or little pieces on the root system. The picture on the right-hand side shows the root system of a soybean plant. Down at the bottom of it, you see all these little nodules on the roots. These little nodules are rhizobia. The picture on the upper left-hand side shows a close-up of a type of nodule that is found on a different legume. These nodules have bacteria on the inside. The bottom picture is a scanning electron micrograph of the interior of one of these nodules. You can see all the bacteria in there. The bacteria actually cause an infection of the root system. Since they both benefit out of it, it is a mutualism. These are soybean nodules. You can see they look like they've got a reddish tint to it. When they are red, they are functional. They function somewhere 1 to a few days before they are no longer functional. They take atmospheric nitrogen, which is inorganic and inert. They turn it into an organic form of nitrogen that the plant uses. Legumes can actually live in somewhat nitrogen deficient areas. All this brings us back to the nitrogen cycle. The largest reservoir of nitrogen is in the atmosphere. The atmosphere is 78% nitrogen. None of that nitrogen is reactive. There are a couple of ways that nitrogen gets out of the air and becomes usable for plants. One of it is through lightning. The flashing of lightning at 1,000,000 volts actually is sufficient to oxidize the nitrogen. It dissolves in the rainwater. It's brought down in a form that can be used. The other way we get it is bacterial fixation. We have symbiotic bacteria, which is common with the legumes. We have asymbiotic or non-symbiotic bacteria that do this. They don't fix nearly as much. The organic matter, or the plant material, is then consumed by a herbivore or other organism. Some of the nitrogen is released in things like the urine. When that happens, the ammonia is released. We have a process that we call nitrification, which changes the ammonia into nitrites. The nitrification also turns the nitrites into nitrates. Some of the nitrates are picked up by plants. Plants can also use the ammonia. We can have denitrification, which is where we get loss of the nitrogen back in the form of gaseous nitrogen. We can also have loss in the form of leaching. Leaching is where the material becomes solubilized, goes down in the groundwater, or leaks over in the form of runoff. Since we don't have enough nitrogen for plant growth, we manufacture nitrogen by taking fossil fuels, converting them into ammonia. We do this with things like methane. When we look at the nitrogen cycle, we see how material goes from point A to point B. It moves around. We've got different processes. This goes on all the time. The amount of nitrogen out there becomes very important. Nitrogen is one of the limiting things for plant growth. When we look at legume roots, what becomes important in here is they do symbiotic nitrogen fixation. They contain a large amount of nitrogen, which gives the plant a large amount of protein. That protein becomes very important for human consumption. It is available protein. It's very high quality protein. Nitrogen cycle, very important part. Legumes, very important in nitrogen metabolism. The biotic scheme of things on a large scale as far as nitrogen goes.